Prepping the factory dash can be, well, it can be fun and also a pain in the butt. A lot of cars nowadays are needing some form of a prep work, meaning pulling out pieces and repurposing things, because that's just the way the industry has gone, trying to replace a factory radio. Even something as old as this from 2015 needs a certain amount of work. On this particular radio, there is 4 Torx screws holding this metal bracket in that holds this radio. They are T20s. Anytime working on a dash, as much as you'd like to, don't use a cordless drill. And especially on a Nissan with this hard, brittle plastic, don't use a cordless drill. And that's it. We have the factory radio out. The dash kit is the Metra 997624. This is a multi-kit in that it will work a bunch of different Nissans. There's a pocket, which for some cases now you actually need. And then there's this bag here that has 2 trims. And depending on the factory dash bezel, you're going to need one or the other. And how you figure that out is just by the opening of the radio. Tuck this through, pull it up, and that's the one you're looking for. This is a smaller one for the non-video screened radios. As always, the owner's manual is your friend, and Metra makes some of the best owner's manuals out there. If you're trying to figure out how to get your dash apart, go to metraonline.com and look for the dash kit, look for the owner's manual, and they will give you some awesome instructions on how to get it out. I often refer to them when we're not using their dash kits because they do the best job. Now on the back pages it will tell you which car needs which one of these. I always like to test fit it just to make sure. But the tabs on the other hand, these things here, well, that's where I'm going to find out which one of these I need. It looks like it might be bracket 3, which down here it says Frontier and Xterra, and that kind of looks like the factory brackets there. This guy. Let's find bracket 3. 3. Oh, there you go. That's them. The rest of these will not be used for this particular install. Now how this kit is designed to work is it has these little tabs here that you can see, and then they will attach into this like that, and then that's what's going to hold this into place. You're going to break off specific tabs that we don't need, which is going to be like this whole bottom area here and this piece, and that is to match up to these brackets. Now what I like about this particular kit with this particular radio is a big floating screen, and this kit actually, as we saw when I put it in here, locks into place with the whole dash kit, which is awesome because that big floating screen, we don't want it to wiggle around in the dash. To remove all of these pieces here, this is the tool of choice here. Standard cutoff / sanding disc does an amazing job. Just go at it, get it nice and sanded up. All cleaned up, looking spiffy. Slides in just like that, and that makes our kit. Let's grab the big brain box out of this and get that all mounted into place. If you've never seen what one of these giant floating screen radios look like and all the pieces, we do have a full video of this particular one, but we'll give you a quick overview of it. The first thing you're going to find, and this is the most important piece right here, this guy for this particular Kenwood. If you do not install this piece, your radio will not turn on. It won't. It's just this little tab here, sticks down, hits a micro switch, allows the radio to work. It's a safety feature that Kenwood has put in it. 2 little screws go on the top here to lock it in. I'm going to put it back in this red bag so that it will be easy enough to find in this nice red bag. There are also this red bag which has 2 extensions on it if you need to move the radio further out of the dash. These are beauty pieces, screws, and the metal brackets needed to use these extension covers. GPS antenna, 1 USB extension cable. This only has 1 USB, that's it, because it's wireless, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so they only give you one because of that. The wireless mic, the main wiring harness, a bag of screws. This bag of screws is actually for the box we're getting ready to install, the back piece. So we'll set these over here. An owner's guide instruction manual. Inside of it, there's 2 packages of foam. This guy here is the screen. We'll take a look at that in a minute, but this one is the one we want. I like to keep everything in the box until I need it later. Perfect world, I could just screw this into that kit and rock and roll. It's not a perfect world, and I can't do that right yet. Because on the back of this radio, it has these giant pigtails hanging off, which is cool, but I don't like them hanging like this because I don't like how safe that is not. Meaning by that is sometimes these things can get caught in the dash when they're solo like this, and it can cause problems for us at a later date. The other thing too that is, I don't know why this has just become like, this is what we do, is they put these little paper flags on here. They're paper. And that means that if at some point later on in the life cycle of this radio, you take the dash out, these could fall off. Sharpie marker, I like to put an R for the reverse. A 3 because this has 3 camera option, and this is the 3rd camera. An F for front, which is also the dash cam. So if you do a front camera and a dash cam, then the 3rd becomes your front cam. A V out and a V in, so VI and VO. And now if those little pieces of paper fall off, at least we have some reference in which to go by. I take my V in and V out, and I like to put those into their own bundle. If I'm going to be doing some sort of video, these will need to go off by themselves anyway, so it just makes sense to do it now. Flush cut the zip ties off. You can use any bundling method you want. I'm just using basic zip ties. And then all the cameras go into their own little bundle. With that done, now I can get this into the dash kit. Grabbing the bag of screws that came with the radio. These are fine thread M5 screws. There's 6 screws that come in the bag in order to attach this. Make sure that you have all the gapping correct before tightening them up as you go. For this giant piece here goes on the bottom. Bring back in the dash panel. Set this upside down inside of here. I'm going to add a couple of rolls of tape underneath it to lift it up some so that it will sit flush. And with the same screwdriver, reinstall your radio. This kit has some rather large gaps here on the bracket that they use. A washer is a pretty good idea to use that to fill in that gap so that the screw sits on there properly. All right. We have it mounted in place. And for this, I'm checking to make sure, like I'm grabbing this and wiggling it to make sure that that is firmly in. It's not gonna rock around because it kind of sucks when it does. The big screen, it's easy to bounce. One of the things I'm super excited about is because it is this kit, we can now apply the screen to it. A lot of the times when you're putting these big floating screen radios in, the screen is the last thing to go on it, and it's like, oh, it's this whole big deal. But I can actually put this on it here on the bench, which I much prefer to do. So that means I have to get this last piece of foam out of the box. So these radios come with this cool piece over the top of it. It's kind of folded nicely in place. I just like to peel it back and make sure the screen has no scratches or anything like that on it. And then I promptly put this back on so that there are no scratches or anything like that. It also has some plastic around it, which is fine, it can stay on. We're gonna need this little bag here that has all of the extra screws in it. Slide this guy into place just like this. There's a bunch of screw holes here. There's a bunch of silver screws with blue Loctite on them. You need at least 4. 4 is a good number. 2, not so much, but 4 for sure. With those locked into place, it's time to grab that red bag again that has that cool black trim panel in it. It goes with this facing the screen, so it looks like this. This is gonna go towards the screen. There's a little groove that it digs into. Sometimes when putting this in after the fact, like if this was already in the car and this is tucked in there, getting that in can be a struggle. You gotta clip, you know, because this isn't like moving as much. Don't think that you can cut that off. Don't cut it off. They only give you 2 little black screws, so don't lose them. Magnetic tip for sure. This is what we end up with. It's kind of down low because you can't see the air conditioner. If this is sitting straight, it's still kind of out of the way, and we have plenty of room that we can go up. To do that, there's 4 screws on the side of the radio. Remove those and we can adjust the height. That looks a lot better. We have easy access for those switches. Put the screws back in. That's it. The white cover goes back over it until we need this to go into the car.